All right, it's 5 o'clock, so I will call this meeting to order. And it looks like we have the full board present for the 2017-18 school board here, with the exception of Kaylee Christensen, one of our student members, who is not with us yet. First thing we need to do is swear in our new board members. So if Neil, Angie, and Ken would please stand up. And why don't you, the three of you, come stand behind Mark. And Mark, if you want to turn your camera on, or your microphone.
Firing squad.
Not yet, comes later.
Maybe turn yours on.
Okay, please repeat after me. I state your name,
I
I, Neil Sklar,
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state,
and that I will discharge faithfully
and that I will discharge faithfully
the duties of the office of school board member
the duties of the office of school board member
of Independent School District Number 241
of Independent School District Number 241
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and ability.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Moving on, first thing that we will need is approval of today's agenda.
I would like to move to include a request for proposals to provide legal services.
I'm not aware of any further discussion on that, and as such, I can put that on a future agenda for us to talk through, but I'm not prepared to add that this evening.
And since it's the organizational meeting of the year, is this the appropriate meeting to do that at, or can we do that at a future meeting?
We could do it at a future meeting. If you would have provided some lead time prior to this evening, we could have done it tonight, but we're not prepared to discuss that this evening, so at a future meeting, that would be fine.
I don't see the need for that, but I have a motion on the floor.
Do we have a second? Do we have a second?
What was the motion exactly?
To include a request for proposals to provide legal services.
Do we have a second?
Forgive me.
At the organizational meeting of the year, it's appropriate to discuss or to designate the legal services provider for the district and representatives who would be contacting that provider. And I don't see it listed here at all, but I would like to include putting out for requests for proposals to examine other possibilities for legal services for the district. And just have that agenda item added to the agenda for discussion.
We've had 3 motions for a second.
Yeah, I'll second it. Looks like we have other things on here that we're talking about that seem similar, so yeah, I'll second it.
Okay, so we will add that on action item for, Ashley, can you scroll up, please?
Mike, I have a point of order.
Yep.
This is not the consent agenda, so we need to have a discussion and a vote on this motion.
Okay,
It's not automatic.
all right. So we have a second. Let's have some discussion, and then we'll vote whether to add this onto the agenda.
What has past practices been on legal services?
the district has had two firms that I'm aware of in the past probably 15, 20 years. And the board has not determined who the firm is. It has been, I came into a past practice where we had the firm of Ratwick, Rozak, and Maloney as the firm. That firm split into two. The attorney we were working with at the time went to a new firm and created a new firm, and we just stayed with the same attorney. So we've had essentially the same attorney for a number of years, and so I have never seen at any reorganizational meeting the naming of what law firm we will use.
And as I have mentioned earlier in the year, I do have personal concerns with this particular firm. I would see that it would be a benefit to the district to have requests for proposals. I can't see that there would be a negative side to the district to find out what other options there are and decide if we do want to stay with this service or perhaps change.
Is it of a financial concern that you're curious? Because that's usually what a request for proposal does is, you know, they're going to basically give us their hourly rate and things like that. Is that one of your concerns?
I'm aware that that's what the request for proposal would bring back to us and give us other firms that would be considerations for the district, so the district could then choose.
My question would be, how is that different than like naming the Wells Fargo and stuff as our depositors and things like that? I don't understand the difference there.
I'll address that question. Actually, by regulation in regards to our audit, we have to have all our financial depositories listed and approved. So that is an audit requirement. As far as legal firm, there is, through our audit process, there is not a requirement to have the board approve the legal services. What happens with audit is any legal firm that we may use throughout the year, there is a questionnaire that the auditors send to that legal firm, just verifying if there's any outstanding legal cases, if you will. But there is not a requirement to go to an RFP. And I can say in my years of school finance, I can't think of a time ever that we've chosen our legal services through an RFP process. In my experience, districts choose their legal firm based on the expertise that law firm provides, and it's very, very important. School legal issues are very complex, and so you want to select the law firm that has the best expertise.
And it is within the board's discretion to choose the legal services. And I guess back to Mr. Klotz's question, expertise is one of my main concerns.
Any further discussion?
Well, I just find it, and again, as the previous chair, the chair and the superintendent interact with legal. That's who interacts with legal. And the attorneys that I've interacted with from this firm are excellent. And the lead attorney was also the attorney in the previous firm that the board had used, I think back from 2000. So it's been the same group of attorneys. They're recognized in the state as one of the top 2 firms. And in order to go with a different firm that either Lori or the superintendent would have to be comfortable with, because they interact with the legal firm sometimes on a daily basis. The board rarely gets involved with legal matters. This would be something that would require a lot of thought, a lot of pre-reading, a lot of information, and I don't think should be dropped on a new board at the organizational meeting. I find that highly inappropriate, actually. And so, is it a topic for later discussion? I think it is, but do we want to make a decision when I'm certainly not prepared? I was given no pre-notice that we were going to discuss this. I just don't think that's appropriate. So I'm going to vote no for that reason.
Any further discussion?
Could you repeat the motion again? Your motion did not suggest that we were going to make any decision as to who the legal firm is, but rather that we, for lack of a better expression, put it out for bids and open it up. But isn't that the case anyway? I mean, without us making any sort of formal motion or action on that matter, I would assume that anyone interested in being our legal counsel would come forward, or if we were interested in pursuing some other legal counsel, that we would accept without any official motion passed by the board.
Right, we don't, and if I may speak, you don't want to pick your legal team based on how much they charge. That is not one area that you, because when you ask for, when you send out an RFP, we'll have to be very careful because of the public nature of this. We might be required to go with the lowest bidder. In a legal matter, you don't want to always go with the lowest bidder. So that's what I'm saying, there's many details to this that I think just need a lot more thorough evaluation before we vote on it. There's no urgency to this.
And yes, and a further question, does not this board make, so we don't make that decision? Who does, the chair and the superintendent?
Typically, the administration has, because they're the ones that work with them daily.
I've been in 2 different districts. In both districts, I have fallen in on the firm that the district uses, and that's pretty much how we picked. And there's a historical piece there as well, because they know the ins and outs and the issues of what's been occurring within the district. If you were to switch a firm midstream, it would take a number of years for that firm to get up to speed on what the issues are. Not to say you can't do it, but that's just been my experience. Lori, you had?
I was just going to point out that there are regulations regarding RFPs. There are some types of expenses that require going through an RFP process or a bid process. When it's like a construction project over a certain threshold, for example, over 100,000, we have to go through an RFP process, through a sealed bid process. If it's for something like transportation contract, we have to go through an RFP. And if it's through, for food service management, we have to go through an RFP. But if it's just service, we are not required to go through an RFP. And just as Dr. Schode mentioned, there are things we need to be very careful. There may be situations where going through an RFP might be more difficult to make sure you are able to make your best decision.
Thank you. And so then would it be appropriate to, so the motion that is on the table is to add to the agenda to include requests for proposals to provide legal services. So perhaps if that was amended to include discussion of legal services for 2017, would that be a more appropriate agenda item?
We have a motion and a second on the current item, on the current language.
Yes, and the maker and the seconder can approve amendments to those. And again, since it is the organizational meeting of the year, I do find it appropriate to bring this issue up. And whether or not we're prepared, as Mr. Skor was saying, we're not going to be deciding on a change tonight. I am asking that it would be included as an agenda item for future discussion.
Would you be willing to withdraw the motion and then?
Yes, I would. So I will withdraw the previous motion. And do you agree? Second?
Since you seconded it.
Well, I guess my thoughts are now, after the discussion, is that I don't know, I think like Mark said, that I think a lot of us are a little too green to have that discussion right now. If it's something that doesn't have to happen at this meeting, that maybe we should wait till, not saying it's not something we should discuss at some point, but I know I don't know enough, and I'm sure some of the rest of the new ones don't know enough, that if we wait a little while and discuss it later, that might be better. So I'm not gonna change this second.
Okay, so the motion stands.
I'll call the vote.
Okay. All in favor of adding to the agenda for the discussion on RFP for legal services? Do you want to reread that for me, Jill, so that I get it correct?
Yes, include in the agenda request for proposals to provide legal services.
Thank you. All in favor of adding that to the agenda, say aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion fails. All right, back to the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. All right, scroll back up, Ashley, please. Okay, first thing on the agenda tonight is the 2017 board officers and committee reps. Go ahead and go to the slide there, Ashley. Okay, the slide from MSBA. All right, so here's what we have received the first Monday in January from MSBA, and they have a recommendation on how to proceed, and so we're going to do something maybe a little bit differently than we have before, but this is my recommendation for you, and I just want to gain your thoughts before we go into this. So for the first person, for the chair, I'll be seeking nominations from the board, and any member of the board may nominate any other board member, and they don't require a second. That's a little different than where it's been in the past. If no other nominations are immediately received, the acting chair should pause and repeat the call for nominations, and then repeat and call for the third time. After the third call, if no other are forthcoming, the acting chair should close the nominations, and then we move forward to the next slide, where we can do a show of hands, a voice vote. I've also had Ashley bring us some paper ballots this evening, in which each board member has an opportunity to vote. Upon majority approval, the newly elected chair then immediately assumes the office and conducts the election of other officers. Okay, so do we have a preference? We want to use paper, hands, voice? Does the board have a preference on what they want to use there as far as the method?
Can I ask a question just to start with? Could you clarify back to the first screen? This is from the first Monday in January from
Right.
MSBA. And as you know, when I contacted Mr. Shoddy as well, this also states that, that the previous chair should be the acting chair for this meeting, and that since the superintendent is a non-voting member, that the superintendent shall not act at any time as chair. Can you explain why?
Yeah,
we are not
MSBA
following?
provides advice. We receive legal opinions from our law firm, and I've been a superintendent since 2005, and every reorganization meeting that I have been part of since 2005, I have been the acting chair. So we will do it in this manner, and then I will turn it over to the new chair, who will then have the opportunity to elect, to lead us through the remainder of the board members.
Thank you. And when was that legal opinion received?
I received it when I first came to this district. I received it when I first came to my previous district, and I made a phone call after you contacted me about 4 o'clock this afternoon. But it was too late in the day to receive verification from our law firm.
So this is something that we actually asked a legal opinion to do something other than what the MSBA suggests.
MSBA does not provide legal advice, Jill.
I am aware of that. So my question is, so we did request a legal opinion to go against something that the MSBA suggested according to state statute.
It's not according to state statute. It's a recommendation from MSBA. Okay? So there's nothing against state statute here. This is the process we're using moving forward. Thank you. All right, so paper ballots or,
Can I just clarify for the record? I was notified at 4:04 on a surgery day, so I haven't had time to review. So I don't want people to think, well, you notified me last week. You notified me today about an hour ago, so I haven't had time to look at it, I haven't time to prepare. I thought about, I did see it, so what I thought about it is that MSBA, as everyone knows, writes policies on many things, and we read them, and we look at them, and we edit them, and then we adopt them locally. So they don't come down to us and say, these are the MSBA policies, you must follow these. We change them locally, and so this again is a recommendation for the MSBA. It's not a dictum that we have to follow. So the 6 years I've been on the board, the past chair has been at this meeting, and the superintendent has run it, and I think it's been that way before I was on the board. And so again, this is from MSBA, but it's not our policy or our previous practice. And that's what I could come up with in the hour that I had.
Yeah, thank you, and I apologize for the late notice. I had just come across it and thought I would share it. And we do have no written policy locally that says anything different, so we may want to look into having a different written policy in the future. Thank you.
okay, so back to the question on what's the board comfortable with, paper ballots or voice vote? Thoughts on that?
I would prefer paper ballots, but whatever everyone else is fine with, I'm okay with.
Okay, paper ballots, fine. Okay,
And with the paper ballots, we do need to put our own name on there,
correct.
too.
You'll have to put your name and then put your name at the top and the person you're voting for at the bottom, and you can vote for yourself. Okay, so the first thing that I will ask for as Ashley's coming around, we need nominations for the board chair.
Mike, I nominate Ken Peterson.
Okay, we've got Ken Peterson. Okay, do I have any other nominations for board chair? Do I have any other nominations for board chair? Okay, we will close the nominations at this point. I'm assuming that you will be okay with being board chair, Ken? Okay. So then what I would need to do at this time is, well, I suppose you can write your names down for Ken, but Ken is our only nominee for board chair, so let's go ahead and write your names down, and we'll follow the process. Ashley. Okay, Ashley, you want to tally the vote? Okay.
Well, thank you, everyone. If everyone is okay with it, if we only have one nomination per office, are we okay just not doing the ballots? Okay. So then I would open up the floor for nominations for vice chair.
I would like to nominate Neil Score for vice chair, another new board member.
Okay. Are there any other nominations?
I nominate Dave Klott.
Okay, Dave Klott. Are there any other nominations? We have to do it 3 times? Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Okay, with that said, we'll be placing our vote for either Neil Score or Dave Klott.
Neil, maybe turn your mic off, or Angie, when do you have your mic on?
How you turn the last thing off?
Huh, hit yours again then. I don't know what's going on there.
Doesn't like me. Okay, Dave Klott is vice chair. Are there any nominations for clerk?
I nominate Neil Score for clerk.
Okay. Any other nominations for clerk? Any other nominations for clerk? Congratulations, Neil. Okay, moving on to treasurer. Any nominations for treasurer?
I'd like to nominate Mark Shody.
Okay, the nominations for Mark Schode. Any other nominations for treasurer?
I nominate Angie Hansen.
Any other nominations for treasurer? Any other nominations for treasurer? Okay, the vote is for Mark or Angie. Congratulations, Mark. And then we have our directors, which I don't think we need to elect those. Okay, are we going on to standing committees then? We have 3 standing committees: Finance, Policy Review, and Facilities. And so, I don't know, when I was on the board in the past, people kind of volunteered. Is that still the same procedure? So, I guess I would open up to, probably the toughest one is Policy Review. Is there somebody that would volunteer for that committee?
I would volunteer for that committee.
Okay, Jill, on policy, anyone else on policy?
I'll volunteer for policy as well.
Okay, Angie, thank you. I guess, Neil, is there a preference there that you have?
I have a long history of working with negotiations, so finance would be something I would be interested in.
Okay,
Well, if she's not opposed to that, I guess
okay. And then Mark as treasurer should be on there.
I think I'd do finance if you got one more.
Okay. Dave. And then, I guess I'll be in facilities.
I could do facilities too.
Okay, good. I think that should do it then. No, or do you want to be on facilities also?
It doesn't matter. If we need 3, I can stay on, or if we want to do 2, it doesn't matter to me.
Let's do 3. So we have Neil, Mark, and Dave on finance. Policy is Jill and Angie, and myself, Dave and Jill on facilities. Moving on to board, or the committee assignments. Again, I think this is a preference. I guess I would give it to the past board members to have first choice. So Jill and Mark and Dave, any preference there?
I've enjoyed the MSHSO.
I enjoy the curriculum committee.
Okay. How about the Family Services Collaborative also?
I'm open to staying on that unless anyone is available. They meet at lunchtime and provide lunch, so it's a good group.
I would like the equity one that Bill was on, if we get an opening.
Okay.
Yeah, that C one would be good.
And business education, you wanna,
Yeah, I can still keep going to that. Anyone can go to that, so that'd be good.
okay. Neil, Angie, any preferences there?
I would kind of like to do teacher of the year.
Okay, good. And Neil,
I'm very much interested in curriculum, but
I would let Mr. Score take the curriculum this year if you would like.
yeah. Okay, so you're gonna go off the curriculum? Okay, and then Neil? And then Jill, Family Services?
Dave is C, Schools for Equity and Education. Dave Collada, I think, said he would do that.
Yeah, then when Bill is done.
Yep.
Yep. So now we just have the reevaluate materials for the media center.
That one has never met, just by email, so if anybody wants to switch into that, that's fine with me. Otherwise, I can stay there too.
I could do that. And then we have the integration grant committee, which I'm not sure what that is.
There's a integration grant that we're part of Austin with that has a committee that meets just a couple times a year. And so we have a board representation on it. I don't think it meets 5 times even. So I don't know if Southland is part of that or not. So maybe, I'm not sure, Angie.
Yeah, I think Southland's been part of that in the past. When do they meet? What time of day?
I think it's after school, and I think it's over in Austin, but I can check. I can get, I'll verify with Mary Jo.
Okay, well, I'd be happy to be on there as long as it's not during school hours.
Sure.
Okay,
Couple other things. We don't do the South Central Co-op anymore. We don't have a rep on that board, so we can take that one off of there. But we do have the Austin Special Ed Cooperative, which we just started up within this past year. And Dave is currently a board member for the Austin Special Ed Cooperative. So Dave, if you're willing to continue to serve on that.
Okay. I think we have all our committee assignments in. The next action item is the board meeting schedule. I think everyone's had a copy of that for quite some time and has one that came with the information for this meeting. That is an action item.
So moved.
Okay,
To accept.
Mark moves. Is there a second to the motion? Neil seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the school board meeting schedule signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Then we have items 4.3 through 4.9 for a single resolution. I'd entertain a motion on that.
I'll make that motion.
Dave moves. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Mark seconds. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of the items listed 4.3 through 4.9 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to MSBA Leadership Conference, Dr. Funk.
I think we emailed out, did we not, the manuals today? And we have it up here on the screen. Go ahead and scroll down to like page 20. Stop for just a second. Go up to back to page 13, just for Ken as the new board chair. Just for your information, at 8 o'clock on Thursday morning, there's a board chair Q&A with the MSB Executive Director. So just want to bring that one to your attention.
Okay, thank you.